to say, look really fired up and enjoying himself. Olivier Giroud with his teammates in the tunnel. Ezri Konsa wears the armband for Villa. Benjamin Andre is the captain of Lille, 35 years young. Jose Maria Sanchez from Spain is our referee tonight. He's been a La Liga referee for over a decade now. I have to say, it's by no means full, the stadium, but it certainly makes plenty of noise. You see there the referee just struggling to hear the respective captains. 4 changes to the Villa side that started the loss to Chelsea just over a week ago. Matty Cash is out with a calf injury. Mings, Martson and Bailey moved to the bench. In come Pau Torres, Sancho, Bogard and Luca Digne, who starts against his boyhood club. He was with Lille for 8 years up until 2013. Great to see John McGinn's name there too. The club captain's available again after 10 games out injured. He is among the subs. Did notice the referee had a quiet word in the tunnel with Emi Martinez, who has a bit of previous with the Lille supporters after that Conference League game where he got that second yellow card in the penalty shootout. Martin Keown alongside me tonight. I'm really looking forward to this. Let's see if Villa can get themselves back on track, but it's a great atmosphere that they're playing tonight. Well, they've had a good rest, haven't they? A number of days for their manager to stitch in, reset, and they've always come back much better. I think there's an excellent coach, obviously a very good manager, but what he does on the training pitch, we'll see tonight whether that is a big improvement. Lost the last 2 Villa, need to get back to winning ways quickly. I did notice Unai Emery did look quite relaxed down on the touchline, certainly when he was chatting to our reporter as well. Positive, so they've been working on things, using that break they've had of just over a week to have that bit of a reset. And they go again tonight. Lille with the early free kick here, which should be taken by their captain Benjamin Andre. And Mbemba, the DR Congo captain. Andre. Chancel Mbemba. Harrelson looking to win it on the edge of the box. Played first time by Andre. Payno with the ball back to the captain, who's already seen plenty of the ball. And that will go behind for a Villa goal kick. Here's somebody, Thiago Santos, that we will see get up and down that right flank. The ball coming off him for the goal kick. The mood has changed here since Lille lost the first leg of their playoff against Red Star, when Bruno Genesio said he saw no reason for hope after a run of 1 win in 10 matches. They've since turned that tie around and have gone 4 games unbeaten. They've won 3 of them, so they're in decent shape, Lille.
Interesting there, just Rodgers making the foul. Looks like Villa will try and press high whenever they can. Certainly an unbelievable atmosphere in this stadium. I know it's not particularly full, but really is a top atmosphere.
Unai Emery aiming to win this competition for a record-extending 5th time. It would be with a 3rd different club as well.
His record in this competition is just ridiculous. 5 finals and he's reached 4 victories.
Played forward by Onana.
There's a bit of pressure on this midfield for Aston Villa to get it right. Obviously a lot of people out of the team at the moment. Tillemans, Kamara, McGinn on the bench. They've got a few games together now, and it hasn't particularly gone well, so they've got to form that platform where Villa can build upon.
Yeah, fantastic to see John McGinn back and available again. I think he'll make a difference, not just on the pitch, but around the place as well. Ask any of the Villa players, will tell you he's the funniest player in the squad.
Well, he seems to be the soul of this football pitch, and he represents the club in so many ways, not just on the pitch, but Douglas Luiz coming back in is an interesting signing on the face of it. It looks as if he's a good fit, but we haven't had results recently with him in there.
Thiago Santos, who was part of that Lille side beaten by Villa a couple of years ago in the Conference League. Mandy. Peran came short, but to the left it goes instead. They've got to keep an eye on Haraldson, the number 10. He can be a real danger. Bentaleb. Cross it comes now here to Mukau.
He's offside. Mukau. Santos is playing really high as a right back. He's going to try and get forward, and on the other side, Perot, the 15, is also pushing high. Good opportunity for Ollie Watkins here to try and get on the scoreline. And scored for a little while, wants to get back amongst the goals.
Torres recalled to the side today with Mings dropping to the bench. Consa. Back again with Emi Martinez.
This is something you see Martinez do quite a lot, actually. He tries to dictate the pace, slow things down, take the sting out of this crowd.
He's trying to bait the press, isn't he, Martinez, but they weren't taking the bait, Lille.
Well, they just want to set their stall out, Villa. They're not going to be pressured into passing it forward.
Thiago Santos with the throw-in. Up to Andre. It was Bentaleb who slid in. This is Onana. I did wonder whether Emery might plump for Lindelof on the right of the defence tonight, but he's gone with Bogard, who came on for the injured Cash in the game against Chelsea.
Well, Bogard's a midfield player, probably a little bit more mobile than Lindelof. More pace.
Douglas Luiz scored that lovely goal within a few minutes against Chelsea. Buendia intercepted by Bentaleb. Buendia has it back again. Digne, who grew up at Lille. Douglas Luiz. Kept in by Bogard. Douglas Luiz. Torres. Sancho. First chance he's had to try and have a run at the fullback, Pedro. Haraldson now for Lille. Good challenge to win it back by Douglas Luiz. Onana threads it forward here to Buendia.
He started the game well, Douglas Luiz, dictating with his passing, and he's snapped into a tackle there.
He saw so little football at Juventus last season, struggled for game time rather at Forest as well, but just signs he's rediscovering his rhythm, which is so important for Villa, particularly as Martin mentioned earlier with the midfield players that they still have out right now, like Kamara and Tielemans. Tielemans they think might be back after the international break, which would be a big bonus.
Of course. Robert Louise, Harrelson, you know he plays in that 10 role. He's someone you have to get in and around, and he's prepared to do that, Louise.
Mbemba, Thiago Santos, Bentaleb, Mbemba, and it came here to Harrelson, who couldn't control it, and now Villa can perhaps look to counter, led by Rodgers, who's looking to hold off the challenge, feels he was fouled and does get the decision, Morgan Rodgers.
Perrin fouls him. Good foul for his team, because Rodgers is, as we know, very creative in those areas.
Well, the Lille captain Benjamin Andre just putting across their point of view there, but just a short break in play here so that the players who are observing Ramadan at the moment can break their fast. Just under 10 minutes into the game. Been a fairly fast, frenetic, energetic start to the game. We've not seen too much in the way of quality just yet.
No, I think Villa just starting to take control. Martinez, interesting how he keeps his foot on the ball to slow things down, take maybe, you know, pop the balloon here of this atmosphere. And they just need to progress the play into the final third. Haven't seen a lot of that yet from Aston Villa, but I'm sure it will come when they'll get their fullbacks further up the pitch. This man Giroud is an interesting player, isn't he? 2018 wins the World Cup and never scored a goal, but they talked about him being the backboard, almost like in basketball. Really important, wasn't he, in linking?
More goals against Villa than any other club in his career.
That's right. Took a knock at wasn't available at the weekend, but when he saw Villa was coming up next, yes, I'll play in that one, never mind I'm 39.
Yeah, he got an infection which led to a few days of fever, which was why he didn't play in the 1-1 draw with Lorient at the weekend, but as Martin says, certainly fit and available for this tonight after a few days training.
I think when you reach that age, you play every game as if your last match. Incredible effort.
Incredible career. Konsa, Torres, Digne, Giroud, who was doing the closing down there. Villa find their way out. Pau Torres just slightly overran that, had to dive into it a bit. Bentaleb, Harrelson. Andre, Bentaleb, Mandy, Bentaleb, Andre. This time they look left. Wasn't quite kept in play by Roman Pero, who certainly needs no invitation to get forward down that flank, a little like Thiago Santos on the other side.
Interesting, Villa there didn't need to go and press, they managed to get the ball back, just kept their shape, quite patient.
Will Villa make the most of this here? That's just the wrong side of Buendia, and it looked a promising opening for them just for a moment there.
Just gets it wrong there, Ollie Watkins. It's those counter-attacks, I think, when they've been really patient, letting them have the ball. When they pinch it there, they've got to make that count.
Santos with the throw-in, up towards Giroud, taken away from him by Digne. Bentaleb. Pero. Peran. Andre. Santos. Good defending by Buendia. This is Digne. Andre. A lot of the Lille play does go through their experienced central midfielder, Benjamin Andre, on the ball again here. His 7th season now with Lille. Bentaleb. Peran. Good ball by Rodgers. Now the space down the right, if they can get it there. Bogart. Sancho. Bogart. Onana. Watkins has come short. Sancho. Rodgers. Hit first time by Pau Torres. It's a useful ball that as well. Yep. It's Thiago Santos who came away with it.
I think Villa need to get the ball wide, certainly to Sancho, in that 1v1 situation, to isolate these fullbacks who are hell-bent on getting forward.
Mandy.
Just leave that 3 at the back. Bentaleb goes in from midfield, just sits between the 2 centre-halves, and the fullbacks push up really high. Just stops Villa from pressing high at source.
Pero chasing this along with Bogart. Early cross in, but too close to Martinez. Interesting that Emery talks repeatedly about structure in his press conference yesterday and since the loss to Chelsea as well. Says their structure was their strength when they were playing well, and now it's something they need to analyse and try and recover. Didn't blame injuries at all though when talking about that. Said that it's just something they need to work on together to get their structure back, as he put it.
Yeah, well, out of possession he likes to be in that 4-4-2, and then in possession they like to have 2 players sitting deep in that midfield, 2 then above them, and 2 up top. Certainly what they need to do is retain the ball better than they are right now.
Bentaleb. Thiago Santos. Lille awarded the free kick. Mandy. Mbemba. It comes here towards Olivier Giroud, and across came Pau Torres. Couldn't quite keep that in. It's maybe Lille's ball.
And that just comes off the defender.
Bentaleb and Benjamin Andre in conversation. Peran, who's come across to take this sign from Krasnodar, the Russian side, in February. Now swinging the ball in there. Villa deal with it. Haraldson. Bentele. Haraldson. Thiago Santos. It's going to be a goal kick to Villa.
More evidence again of that 4-4-2 that Villa adopt when they're out of possession.
Ponce goes longer this time. It's good strength, idea. Just had it taken away from him, but the referee had just let it go and then pulls it back for the earlier foul. Played wide by Onana. Sancho. Rodgers. Watkins waiting in the middle. It's the cross by Rodgers.
He just seems to ghost into space. There'll be a little ball in behind. He'll just pick somebody out in the box. It's neither a shot nor a cross, that one.
Mandy.
That's better actually for Villa when they go and press there. They stop them from playing out from the back.
It's bounced off Onana and now it's with Haraldson. As Lyon look to get forward. Mukau with the pass. Taken on by Thiago Santos. Giroud on the edge of the box. And it comes here to Mandy. Pero. Haraldson. Peram. Bentele. And Mbemba. Mukau is forward as well. It comes here to Thiago Santos. Initially worked. Mukau just held on to it too long. Watkins couldn't quite get there. Something that's really noticeable is the freedom that Haraldson has, the number 10. Something he didn't have really under Fonseca. He had him more rigidly playing wide, but Genesio, the coach here since the summer of 2024, look, the starting position is in that 10 role, but he's allowed to wander, and you can see that.
Absolutely, and he's getting a lot of joy as well. Just working between the lines, always trying to get free. And they're just bouncing it into him, but they're not really creating too much.
Thiago Santos goes down very optimistically.
Well, that's the right back, so to speak, and I haven't seen Villa yet counter-attack into that area whenever he comes forward. They're quite happy just to keep possession. There's no real hurry here, Aston Villa. Back with the goalkeeper again. We've seen a lot of goalkeepers, by the way, in this European week.
Martinez to Pau Torres.
He does seem, though, very confident in possession, Martinez.
There was one French football outlet branded him public enemy #1 after that's a Conference League game here back in 2024. You can tell that the locals certainly haven't forgotten Douglas Luiz. Bogart's pass. Onana. Konsa. Onana. Up it goes towards Watkins.
Interesting looking at the shape in the pockets. You see Buendia and Rodgers and trying to go long. Just there, just can't get the touch he needs. Try and look for those two, Buendia and Rodgers, in those pockets. Build from there and then play the ball down the sides into Ollie Watkins. They've elected to go long there and it hasn't worked.
Yeah, 7 games without a goal now for Ollie Watkins, as it's hard not to notice the criticism that he's been getting. I think a real fine player, and they're looking dangerous here. A shot by Douglas Luiz. Buendia. Pau Torres. Now, the only 2 players who've now scored more goals in Emery teams than Ollie Watkins are Cavani and Gamero, which is good company. Digne.
I think Digne's got to keep getting down that left because he's providing the width when Dia's running into midfield.
Torres. Just waiting for that movement. Pau Torres finds Buendia.
That's the ball. He's available every time.
Buendia did well. Sancho. Nice from Villa. And they find some cutting edge here. Sancho. Pau Torres played it forward. Lille get the decision. I think that was for a handball. Yeah.
It was, but he's a player they've got to keep trying to get that ball to. There's much wrong with that from Buendia. Santos going down very easily.
Mandy. Morgan Rodgers saying that this was one of the best atmospheres he's ever played in that Conference League game. Certainly really good tonight as well. Buendia. And they move it forward quickly here. Watkins with Sancho getting forward in support. Watkins goes on. And in the way there was Mandy. It's going to be a Villa corner.
Nice football there from Villa. Luiz sets that up and then he hasn't really got any support there. He's trying to reverse past that back to Rodgers. It just doesn't come off. I think that's the key to success though for Villa when they win it back, is to go with pace.
Yeah.
You see that quality in the final third.
I don't know if it's coming across on your TVs, but you can still hear the Villa fans across all the booze and the ear-piercing whistles from the Lille supporters. And just away to our right, the Villa fans in good voice. Their side with a corner here. Came out to Harrelson, but there was nothing really beyond him. Difficult side to beat here, Lille. They've only lost 3 home games in the league this season, those against Lyon, Rennes and Strasbourg. Held the European champions PSG here. But what you would say, Martin, was almost half an hour gone, and it's imperative for them they make the most of home advantage tonight. They've not really troubled Villa at the back. Not yet, anyway.
They don't seem to be able to penetrate. I think Villa quite happy to sit off. There's a good run here.
Oh, really good run by Watkins, who just couldn't quite bring it down.
Nana's ball. I mean, that's the option, because when you've got the 2 players going into the pockets, Buendia and Rodgers, and then you mix it up with that long ball, it's very difficult to deal with.
Mukau. He's done really well there, Onana. Rodgers. Watkins peels off to the right. This is Onana. Watkins wants it. Oh, and he almost got it as well. Really good football from Villa, and Mandy was there for Lille, but signs that Villa are really getting on top now.
And if you look at Oliver Watkins there, he's pointing, put it there for me, and it's really good defending. Just get something on it, otherwise he's going to bury that.
Good football from Villa. Consa forward, Pau Torres forward. So half an hour gone here. Another corner for Aston Villa as the projectiles rain down by the corner flag. Up towards Pana. And across came Bogart.
Dina just needs, on that corner kick, he just needs it to be a little bit higher. He's trying to whip it into that near post and not quite getting enough on it.
Douglas Luiz. That was interesting. Douglas Luiz said after the Chelsea game that he felt that Villa collectively lost focus in that game, and then with that lost confidence. They've been the better side here so far tonight.
That can happen without doubt, and I think Lille actually shown a bit more respect and just sitting off just a little bit.
Digne. Consa. Rodgers. Buendia just got away from him, allowed Thiago Santos to get it clear. Again, they quickly have it back.
They do,
Aston Villa.
It's interesting that Rodgers is always available.
Andre nips it up, Douglas Luiz. Haraldsson. Mbemba. Bentaleb. Issa Mandy. Peran. Giroud. Good ball. Pedro. The players arriving in the box. Mukau is one of them! Great chance.
Yeah.
Offside flag was up though.
And up comes the flag. I wondered if he was offside. There's not much in it, by the way. Good line from Villa. Spent hours working on that. And really, he should be putting this away once that comes across. Of course, it wouldn't have counted.
Seen too much of Mukau so far, but he certainly got himself in a good position there.
He's just playing as a right side forward, a sort of an inside forward, really.
He's somebody who they rate highly here, just 21, a DR Congo international. Emi Martinez. Douglas Luiz. Torres. Such a strength of Pau Torres, isn't it? Those balls forward played crisply, but that one not quite controlled by Buendia. And now it's Smukau. Bentaleb was asking for it. And suddenly it's Villa just coming under a little bit of pressure. The referee says play on. Lille wanted a free kick. Villa looking to get forward.
Yeah, he's letting things go now, the referee.
Onana driving through the midfield. Just had to check back and finds Rodgers. Numbers forward here for Aston Villa. Now, the referee unmoved. It'd be interesting to have another look at.
It will be.
Konsa. Good tempo to the game. Buendia. Digne. Douglas Luiz. Set in their shape here, Lille. Work it wide, Aston Villa. Digne with a chance to cross.
It's those balls I was talking about. Digne putting them in there.
And he is such a good crosser of the ball as well, isn't he?
Exceptional crosser of the ball. Interesting where Sancho is playing, by the way. He's never at the right wing. He's just playing really central. Douglas Luiz is really important at the base of that midfield to get that passing right. He has a really good passing range.
Bogart was being fouled.
It's the ball there from Rodgers, and the referee just about gets that right. No real contact.
Yeah. Torres. Watkins goes down.
That's what he's got to do, protect the ball. Keep possession for his team.
More European action tonight. Crystal Palace in action at Selhurst Park against Larnaca. And of course, Forest take on Midtjylland in the Europa League. Side they have already been beaten by this season. Big night for Forest. Palace, the big favourites to go through, you'd think, against Larnaca. And I suppose Villa come into this as well, Martin. It's well worth saying, as the favourites to win the whole competition. That does bring with it a certain pressure they've got to contend with.
It does. And we were talking to Villa fans this afternoon, weren't we? Who said they've already bought tickets for the
yes. I think they wanted to get ahead of the curve in terms of the plane ticket prices.
Expenditure, yes. They saw it as a good deal.
Thiago Santos. You really got a sense from those Villa fans as well how much they're enjoying this, another European journey. Had several of them in recent seasons, haven't they? 3 different competitions as well.
For sure. And they understand the team's had injuries recently, but hoping for them to have a good result here tonight.
Bogart, Watkins waiting in the middle, and again it was Mandy who cut it out on a couple of occasions now. His positioning has been really good in the heart of that defence.
He's needed to be, by the way.
Onana. Rodgers just couldn't bring it under his spell, and Andre was there for Lille. Haraldson, Giroud, Kedan. Torres. Clearly make the point that the Premier League overall in terms of quality is of a higher standard than Liga, but in terms of athleticism, physicality in particular, Liga is right up there.
Well, it's neat and tidy, isn't it? They pass the ball well. You feel the quality lies with Aston Villa as long as they can get that ball into the final third. Just that crisp passing, that's that sort of ball. Look.
Rogers Watkins was asking for it. It's that first ball, isn't it, from somebody like a Douglas Luiz or a Pau Torres, when it's fizzed in with purpose and pace. It makes such a difference if you can get on the half turn.
Just seeing a replay of it there, and it's just like, you know, that goes right through the heart of that Lille midfield. And those two players, Rogers this time in that pocket. Just a bit more composure, a bit more quality, and I think Villa will have too much here.
Mbemba. Thiago Santos was just caught there by Buendia. The referee wants a word with the Villa player.
It's a ball that he'll feel entitled to have gone for, Buendia. You see his opponent puts his foot out in the path, ready to fend off winning that ball.
Certainly been starting regularly, Buendia. 8 starts in a row in the Premier League. His best run of Villa starts since 2023. He was the player of the month in January, but he's just one of those who just of late perhaps has had a little bit of a dip in form. He's certainly not the only one, and collectively you could argue as well, but he's one that could really do with a good performance tonight.
For sure. I mean, he's played, what is he now, 1-3-6 or something, in terms of he's played a lot of games here, but this seems to be his best period. I like him in those pockets. It really does work for this system.
Thiago Santos. Bentaleb, who's playing for his hometown club, former Newcastle and Spurs player. Mandy. Nabil Bentaleb. Bentaleb. Giroud making his way into the box, just past him. Miscontrolled by Rogers. Andre. Santos. Harrelson. Thiago Santos. Andre. And Thiago Santos kept it in, and that's wide, and it was Giroud who was in there. Just couldn't get enough purchase on it, but they've won it back, well, only momentarily. But there was threat there from the home side.
Well, Santos down that right-hand side, look, just a little give and go, gets it back, and then whips it in, and Giroud's in front of his man there. He really should be getting something on the end of that. Perhaps the younger Giroud puts that in the back of the net. Santos just whips it into that near post, gets ahead of Konsa, and glances it wide.
So many times in his career we've seen him turn them home in that exact sort of position.
Well, it's a rueful look from him because he knows it should be in the back of the net.
He said he hadn't planned to return to Europe from MLS, but he just simply missed European football and fancied, as he put it, a farewell tour.
He's always enjoyed being underestimated.
Yeah.
I don't think people really appreciate, I think, well, the French do, obviously.
Andre. Pero. Oh! Andy Martinez had to be helped out by Pau Torres. That must have swerved a bit. They're finishing the half strongly here, Lille. Harrelson. Again, they look to put the pressure on. Nodded behind by Digne.
Yeah, Martinez there, and he gets caught out a shot from distance. Look, Haro just dips in front of him. Defender rescues him, just clears it.
Did move in the air, didn't it?
Certainly did. Just drops right in front of him. It's actually a good save in the end. Just gone up a gear here, Lille. It's as if someone's tapped the canvas.
Last minute of the first 45. Aston will take it here for Lille. Numbers in there. They can only get it clear to the edge of the box. And that's a bit of a waste from Pero. But as Martin says, a good period at the end of this first half from Lille. Probably their best period, actually.
Well, certainly from that man, Ferro, they're shooting from distance, getting down that left-hand side. Looks like an injury here, though.
Yeah, he would be a big loss. Andre, so important in the heart of their midfield, so he'll be okay.
Just taking a knock there, is it? The flexor.
He's still grimacing, isn't he? Buendia, Rogers, Watkins, Onana all in the box.
Yeah.
Just needed better.
Too much. You want him in that wide area. I think he's been a little bit frustrated and then put too much on that one.
Now trying to win it off Douglas Luiz. Harrelson there as well. Douglas Luiz. Torres sends one forward. Watkins gives chase. Sancho's made some movement for him here, but it comes off. Pero.
I like seeing that ball go in early from the defender. Just keep feeding those winning runners.
Watkins, who's able to turn, and Buendia was waiting in the box, and Member got him clear. Final seconds of this first half. Rogers. Up against Bentaleb. Lovely bit of skill. Rogers still going. And they couldn't take it all the way, but
Slalom.
It was brilliant. Rogers again. And they're appealing for a corner. I think the referee, Villa wanted a corner, but he's saying that's enough. The half-time whistle.
Rogers there, quite magnificent, isn't he? His feet were so quick. Clearly takes a deflection off the defender.
Clearly, he had a glittering career as a player.
Conor Gallagher
Players got no reaction. He's taken some mythical solace from the second. So I understand the amount of games they're about to play. The interesting thing will be for FIFA is how they have made a big play about increasing the World Cup to 48 teams to make sure that other regions are given put himself in the way of adverse publicity one way or t'other.
It's fair to say that Igor Tudor's time in temporary charge has thus far been a disaster. And the same Igor Tudor, it appears, TalkSport understands, has alienated many of the Tottenham players.
Is subsequently no longer capable of managing a football team. I don't know how good a manager Ryan Giggs is, so I can't speak about whether he would make a good manager now, given the fact he's been out of the game for 4 years, things have moved on.
Well, he was Wales manager in January 2018. He led them to qualification for Euro 2020.
Yep.
You know, at the end of the day, he has one hell of a lot of football know-how.
Sure. Yeah, certainly as a player, and given the fact that he's done okay with Wales, you know, if we're talking about another international job, he's burnt his bridges with the Welsh FA. I suspect that's a circumstance, whether right or wrong, that ship has probably sailed, and Craig Bellamy's doing a decent job, however long Craig stays there for, and maybe passes Janu awaits him. I mean, I met Ryan Giggs years ago, didn't particularly warm to him, but that's not a benchmark for necessarily determining whether he should be a football manager or not. Clearly, he had a glittering career as a player. Clearly, he's put himself in the way of adverse publicity, one way or t'other. You know, and that comes at a price. And the price now of modern day football is that managing an elite football club, you have to present as being the perfect human being in all aspects. If you've got any skeletons in your cupboard, allegation or proven, there's a challenge for you, because the optics of how football clubs want to present themselves around the world will be challenged by someone that has had their reputation.
Fernandes to Igalo into the box. Igalo shoots, and what a...
This is not legitimately, in terms of the fact that the cases have never proceeded and he's never been found guilty of anything.
That's right.
The question for Ryan is...
So should he be unemployable in perpetuity?
Well, I don't know. Again, I don't know how many jobs he's applied for. I don't know whether he's unemployable in perpetuity. I don't know what level he thinks he can manage at. I don't know, you know, there would be nothing stopping him from redeeming his, or finding himself. It's an interesting choice of redemption for marketing that he's alighted himself upon a campaign celebrating women. He would say, well, why wouldn't I? I've been found guilty of nothing. I've done nothing wrong. These were spurious allegations. Other people would say, an interesting choice for you to get yourself associated with it, because it's going to create currency, which is maybe the purpose of it in the first place. Notably, he's had to go and do that overseas, so he can manage overseas, I suspect. If he can be given commercial endorsements to represent a brand of some shape or form, then I'm assuming, in the same way that Mason Greenwood couldn't play in this country as a footballer because of the allegations were made about him, he's gone over to France and is making his career over there.
Yeah, with Marseille.
So
you have to separate what's going on in somebody's private life when you're thinking of maybe appointing them to some position in their professional life.
Here's a chance here. Fernandes to Igalo into the box. Igalo shoots, and what a strike it was! It flies in off a combination of post and bar. And once again, Igalo takes centre stage in the Europa League.
And it just sat up for him. And he brilliant left foot volley. Got to say, he's hit it fantastically well.
Want to do. I mean, I note things like he hasn't been inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame, which can only be because there's no doubt about it. Ryan Giggs was one of the top players in the Premier League during a very defining era of the Premier League.
Yeah, most decorated of all time.
There you are then. So by definition, on a footballing scenario, he should be included in it. For the reasons of political correctness, he's not. Yeah. So that in of itself, what does football want to be? Does it want to be the judge of people?
Here's a chance here.
Fernandes to Igalo, into the box. Igalo shoots, and what a strike it was! It flies in off a combination of post and bar. And once again, Igalo takes centre stage in the Europa League.
And it just sat up for him. And he brilliant left foot volley. Got to say, he's hit it fantastically well.
Castigated forever. I'm not in that camp.
No, of course.
I'm not in that camp. So if he wants to manage, and he wants to put himself above the parapet, and find himself an opportunity to talk to people and be judged by the. If we can accept people back into society, I mean, people run around revering and applauding and admiring and eulogizing Mike Tyson, who was a convicted rapist.
That's right.
Who is a convicted rapist.
Yes.
So with due respect to Ryan Giggs, with allegations against him that have never seen the light of day in terms of being tried in front of his peers, then he should have a free slate to some extent to manage a football team if he's good enough.
Okay. As we approach the final half hour of the show today, we're going to focus on the Champions League. Atletico Madrid up against Spurs, as we've mentioned. Galatasaray, Liverpool, you heard from Graham Souness. And Newcastle United, Barcelona. What can Newcastle do in that one? We'll look at that very shortly. It's fair to say that Igor Tudor's time in temporary charge has thus far been a disaster. And the same Igor Tudor, it appears, TalkSport understands, has alienated many of the Tottenham players. His treatment of the goalkeeper, Antonin Kinski, in Madrid hasn't gone down well with the dressing room, it is understood. Some members of the Spurs squad are understood to have been shocked, both by the timing of the decision to drop Vicario for such a big game, and then Tudor's personal response to Kinski, who he took off after 17 minutes at the Metropolitano. Spurs players unhappy that Kinski was ignored by Tudor as he left the field. And instead, Dominic Solanke, Palinha, Conor Gallagher all jumped off the bench and followed the goalkeeper down the tunnel to support their teammate. Apparently, Kevin Danso, Pedro Porro and Christian Romero also consoled Kinski as he left the pitch. Where are we at now, Simon, with this? Have we got a bunch of players who do not approve of the way Igor Tudor is going about things? As for Mickey van de Ven, post-match, when asked about mentally, how are they getting out of this situation, how do you cope with it mentally, he says, well, I could give the standard talk that we all have to stick together and work hard, but we're just being dealt blow after blow. It's really difficult. We have an important match this weekend. I can't be at that because I'm suspended. But it's truly a terrible time. How am I feeling mentally? Well, it's tough, I can tell you. Really tough. Where do you go with that if you're Igor Tudor? Presumably, you're in the school of thought, Tudor's still got the job. As long as he's got the job on an interim basis, he carries on unaffected.
It's all well and good the players potentially briefing in however we've managed to ascertain this information that they're not having the manager. Well, I'll tell you what we're not having is your performances. I mean, there is a school of thought that says I can't get my head around a manager called Igor. It always reminds me of the film Young Frankenstein. I can't help but think of that. Marty Feldman in the dugout. Yes. But the players themselves. I mean, this idea. I sat there watching it, and I felt for the goalkeeper to some extent. If they'd left him on the field and conceded the fourth goal, there would have been this deluge of opinions about he should have taken him off. I'm not in the. Maybe I'm harder, and maybe I'm not right. But this idea that somehow consoling the goalkeeper, that's made two mistakes that have thrown you right in the cart, that's compounded the problems that you've got, exacerbated the debate about whether he should have been in the team in the first place. You've given him an opportunity. He's let you down. He's let the team down. His performance was abject. And what people think is he should be given a cuddle on the way out. Now, I find that perplexing because we're in a professional football field where players are paid highly, rewarded highly, lauded and applauded. They've got big enough mouths to tell you what they're entitled to, constantly brief against the establishment that they're working for. I watched Jed Spence having the audacity to go and tap the manager on the shoulder and make sure that he shook his hand. This is the same Jed Spence that wouldn't shake Thomas Frank's hand when he was on the pitch being all cocky about that back in the day. I get tired of these players. Get on with doing your jobs. To some extent, get on with doing your jobs in spite of the manager if that's what it takes to get you out of this particular problem. And that doesn't lend me to the conclusion that you go and have a debate with the players as the owner. But the bottom line is, there's too much of what these players are entitled to. Too much of what they should and shouldn't be getting. The goalkeeper got the hook because he was crap. And it doesn't really matter if you sit there, give him a pat on the back, which, by the way, how can you give him a pat on the back? How can you console him? How can you turn around and say, never mind, son? There was poor performance, it's put your team in a dreadful position, and it doesn't really matter just because the optics of this bleeding heart world suggest that a professional footballer needs to be consoled because he's now ruined. How about this professional footballer goes away, gets some resilience, comes back and proves his points, rather than all these voices coming out saying that's the end of him. Maybe it's the making of him.
So do you think Tudor was right just to blank him?
I don't think it matters either which way, as long as he attends to the detail of saying to the goalkeeper why he got hooked off, what the reasons for it were, and why he operates the way he did, because it was he that gave the goalkeeper the chance. His reward for giving him the chance was that performance. So I'm not surprised in the real world where grown-ups live, rather than media commentary from people that have played the game and are ultimately a virtue signalling about what should happen to this player, is that the player should be given a cuddle. He shouldn't be given a cuddle. He should be sent down the tunnel in embarrassment because he's embarrassed himself and the team. And out of that will come some mental stability and strength and some resilience, or it won't. Because to be a professional footballer playing for a Premier League club in a Champions League game requires real steel and substance.
So was it good man management in Tudor's part?
Well, man management in terms of what? Dealing with the player and making sure that he feels all right, or trying to focus on the collective.
Dealing with the problem at the time, in the way he did it.
To whose end?
Hooking him and then not acknowledging him.
The bigger question, none of that matters to me. None of that offends me in either which way. I mean, the outcome of the performance was shaped by those 3 goals, and 2 of them were directly related to the goalkeeper, and directly related, I suspect, to the criticism that he picked him in the first place. We saw this goalkeeper. We saw him a year ago in the League Cup, celebrating with his family. Everyone, waxing lyrical about how good a goalkeeper he was.
Yeah.
He's been given an opportunity. He's been banging on the door. Give me a chance. And by the way, it's the lesser of 2 evils because Vaquero's crap as well. But the fact of the matter is he's given a chance and he rewards the manager with that. So if I'm Tudor, I'm sitting there like a human being going, I can't believe what I've done here. I can't believe I put this kid in goal, giving him an opportunity, taking a risk because I think it's the right thing to do. I think it needs a change up because I didn't like the way Vaquero bottled out of the 3rd goal against Palace and didn't commit himself. And I want to see a goalkeeper that's got something about him. And I get this. So in the real world, rather than the world of sitting in a box like Schmeichel and others guys, that's ruined him. Why has it ruined him? So you can't have adversity. You can't have something so poor and come back from it. What does that say about society?
That's a challenge ahead of the boy now, isn't it?
Fine, rise
come
to
back
it.
From it.
Rise to it.
Yeah.
Prove people wrong.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be your defining moment. But as far as Igor Tudor's concerned, he's called out players, got no reaction. He's taken some mythical solace from the second half of the Palace game because he can't do anything other than that because he's called the players out. The players have done bugger all. His centre-back's got sent off. Romero, is whatever he is. And now so now after the second half of Palace, he goes, I've seen things I can build from. No, you haven't. You've got nowhere else to go now.
Right.
So what do you do? What do you do? Get that demented vulture, Harry Redknapp, to come back in again, who's clucking around now, making sure that everyone hears he's in the background.
Hang on, that's a bit strong. Harry was on breakfast this morning. Let's listen to him.
I think someone like Tim Glenn Hoddle even, would still be...
What about yourself?
Yeah, I'd do it for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say... Well, I don't see myself getting it, to be true.
Have they reached out to you?
No, never spoke to anybody, so...
In terms of Daniel Levy, I mean, he's no longer at the club, but do you think if he were still in his position there, maybe you would have had a phone call?
Yeah,
because
I got a phone call last week from Daniel, funny enough. I think I spoke to him once since I left, all that time ago.
Wow.
Phone goes in Daniel Levy. I thought... strange, and I on the phone about half hour chatting to him, and he was explaining, what had happened to him and how he sort of got marched out of there, which was really strange, wasn't it? And now, obviously, he's got no control anymore. He's nothing to, he's probably still owns the shares, doesn't he? So yeah, it was quite interesting. He did say to me, he said, look, if I was there now, he said, I would definitely, and I'm not just saying it, so I would bring you back into to the end of the season.
So there you go.
Nice and discreet.
Well, I mean, discreet or not, Harry's quite entitled to say it because, according to Harry, that is exactly what happened.
I read the article in the Times on the weekend where he's popped up. I read the article. This is what Harry Redknapp does, pops up and circles around like a demented vulture, sees an opportunity. Whether he could go in there and galvanise, a lot of fans think he would. What he would do, undeniably, is he would get the fans on side.
Right.
Because the fans are offside. Now,
well, that's the start.
Now, whether he could get the players on side, because these bunch of inherent layabouts are the reasons why you've got a problem. You can make it about the managers, you can make it about the coaches, you can make it about the board, but somewhere along the line, you also got to make it about the players as well.
Yeah, but you have to think Harry would do exactly that. Get them together.
Maybe.
And Tudor's failed to do that.
Maybe he can bring his phone in from the jungle and he can sit on that and they can all worship at that altar.
Come on.
The fact of the matter is that we've got a situation where Spurs have got a serious problem on their hands. What you would get is the fans back on side, potentially for a period of time, until the players went out and let themselves down again. Because it is the players that are letting the club down. I know the manager's got a key part to play. I know it's his charges. This guy is not necessarily the solution. It's fascinating to wonder why they chose him and what they thought about it, because clearly they thought that a disciplinarian getting in there, livening a few of those people up, consequence to them, was the right thing to do at this time in the season. I don't know whether it was or it wasn't, because clearly you look at it and they're not having it. They're not responding, whether they're not capable of it, or they're so under-aroused that they're having difficulty getting out of the dressing room. I don't know what the solution is to this particular problem.
But you've been going after the players after we started talking about Tottenham this morning.
Because they're a disgrace.
And Tudor's done the same. Out of respect to Tudor, should the players not give it back to Tudor and give him what he wants?
But me going after the players is irrelevant in comparison with the manager going after players, because the players, I don't have any influence over the players. He does. So he has to find a way to get the results from these players one way or t'other that he needs to get. And unfortunately, you're never going to know what result they could have got against Atletico Madrid, because their goalkeeper throws in 2 goals and sets the tone. So you could never see that Spurs were going to be competitive in this game. And as it happens, they've got the same result as Chelsea, and there's no landed crisis at Chelsea as a result of getting beat 5-2.
So if you're in a lofty position at Tottenham Hotspur at the moment, next up Liverpool away, then Forest at home, do you say, Igor, you're in for those two?
Igor. Listen, I don't know the dynamics of why they brought him in. Only they know that. And if it's along the lines that they think that he was a temporary fix because that's what he does historically, well, that's proven to be wrong. It's proven to be the case, irrespective of how you slice and dice it, that the intellectual capital that's running Spurs, that took over from Daniel Levy, whether people think I've got a bias towards Levy, don't know what they're doing. They didn't buy players in January to support the team. They sold a player and they brought in Conor Gallagher. Well, that'll fix a lot. Right? They got problems at that football club that they needed to fix. They've made a big hullabaloo and a song and dance and dog and pony show about how they were going to run this football club and how ambitious they were, and they're going to get them relegated if they're not careful. Well done. And then, of course, people will then visit that back to Daniel, and that's up to them if they want to do so. But I can't superimpose what their knowledge is, because I don't think they have very much. I'm looking at the decisions that are being made.
They're in a bad spot.
And the architect of that is what? Oh, yes, of course, it'll be attributed to them. This playing squad, however crap it may be, is better than 4th and bottom or 5th and bottom in this league. No, they're not a top 6 side. Granted, no way would I say they're a top 6 side, but they're a top 10 side, not a bottom 5 side. And that is on the choices that have been made. It's not on a historic recruitment program. It's on a historic recruitment program if you want to win the league.
Okay.
If you want to finish 6th or 5th or 4th. Not if you want to finish mid-table.
All right, we watch for it. It's a late kickoff on Sunday. Igor, this is Arnie. Arnie, this is Igor. As Tottenham Hotspur go to Liverpool. It's 12 noon. Good afternoon, everybody. 4 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. We are live on TalkSport. A lot to get through in our final hour. I just want to re-emphasise my thanks to Martin O'Neill for joining us live. Earlier, we were joined by former Rangers manager Graham Souness, former Liverpool captain as well, of course, who was looking ahead to tonight's Champions League game. The early kickoff, 5:45, Galatasaray, who Graham used to manage as well, up against his former club, Liverpool. Some big matches on the go tonight. Newcastle, Barcelona being one of them, and we will look at that before we go. But of course, a lot of the focus of attention is also on the upcoming World Cup in the summer in the USA. And before that, a whole bunch of World Cup playoff games are going to be played to finally to finally work out who's going to be in the finals come the summer. Iraq has made a formal request to have their World Cup playoff match postponed. It comes after they rejected a proposal from FIFA that the squad should make a 25-hour road journey to Turkey before flying to Mexico to fulfill the fixture. Iraq faces a World Cup playoff match against either Bolivia or Suriname in Monterrey on March the 31st. But all sorts of problems being faced by the Iraqis logistically. Around half of the Iraq squad are in Baghdad and they're unable to travel, while the head coach Graham Arnold is stuck in Dubai. Such are the problems coming from the problems thrown up by the ongoing conflict with Iran. Former Manchester United coach, now assistant manager for the Iraq national team, Rennie Mullenstein, joins us live. Rennie, good afternoon to you.
Hello, Jim. Good afternoon.
Good to speak to you. You're a man who's worn a few hats in his time since your time at Manchester United, and this is another. You're the assistant manager of the Iraq international squad. Of course, Graham Arnold, currently the man in charge. So what is the latest? I mean, what is the likelihood that you're going to be able to fulfill this playoff fixture?
Well, the situation is very uncertain, Jim. We obviously keep tabs every day if there's any developments. Graham will be speaking to members of the AFC and the FIFA on a regular basis. And as long as this uncertainty carries on, and you've already mentioned it in your intro, the biggest complication is that obviously the airspace around Iran and Iraq is shut. Therefore, the local players, we can't get out. And that was another, maybe a little bit of a miscalculation, of FIFA thinking that, all our players came from Iraq, but that's not the case. It's about a 50-50% split, 50% play in clubs abroad, some in other countries in the Middle East, but still quite a few in Europe as well. So, but the big problem is that the people that are in Iraq, that they are stuck at the moment.
Yeah, and are you and Graham in constant touch with those players who are indeed stuck in Iraq right now?
Yes, obviously. We need to know, we need to make sure that everybody obviously is safe and in these uncertain periods, because we talk about a football match, whereas this thing that's going on is by far bigger than anything else that we can comprehend. But yeah, it's not a good situation.
I mean, what was your reaction, Rennie, if I can ask you, when FIFA proposed that you and the squad make a 25-hour road journey to Turkey and then fly to Mexico?
Well, make that 35, Jim, and I know what the roads look like in Iraq. That is absolutely not done. Absolutely unacceptable. It just cannot be done. I think also, Jim, what people need to realize and understand, and I would love to get Simon's take on this, people do not understand that if we play the winner of Suriname-Bolivia, that will be our 21st World Cup qualifier. 21st. So I always say the World Cup is the highest platform that every athlete wants to perform at. And then the road towards that platform is completely different from Europe, where teams only have to play 6 to 8 World Cup qualifiers. And if they go in the playoff, maybe 10. It is something that is not easy, especially not for countries like Iraq, because they don't have a lot of money, and you know what it's cost, to fly all over Asia to play those games.
It's incredible. Simon's right beside me, Rennie. As Rennie says, there are 20.
Why so many? Just out of curiosity, because I'm not following it, Rennie. Why so many games? What there's a necessity for so many games?
Well, to be fairly honest, Simon, I think it's just another money-making model for AFC. AFC could have easily looked at all the countries participating in the World Cup qualifiers, and then divided by the sort of top countries and the countries that can play a preliminary round. But that has not been done. So we ended up obviously in the first round of qualifiers, then in 3 groups of 6, of which we ended up in the playoffs again, which was a head scratcher again, because normally playoffs you would think are played on neutral ground or in home and away setup. But we had to play in Saudi with Indonesia, which Saudi give the home advantage. They played Indonesia first. We played them 3 days later, and then we played Indonesia of Saudi at the end. So Saudi had 5 days to recover to play the second game, and it cost Indonesia definitely. and it cost us at the end because we didn't qualify because of one goal. But these are things that are going on, which you sometimes scratch your head, because at the end of the day, I think FIFA stands for fair play, and I think they need to create a level playing field.
Rennie, do you worry that if FIFA reject your request to replay this game on your terms, that you may be asked to forfeit the tie and it's goodbye to the World Cup finals?
Well, that would be an absolute, disaster. I wouldn't name it, because disaster is what's happening now in the Middle East in terms of the war, but it would be a huge disappointment for all the people of Iraq that have been waiting 39 years. And it's a miracle already where we are at this moment, Jim, with the setup and the team and the things that we had to go through. So I think FIFA needs to do everything to make sure that game is played, or like Graham says, maybe it's postponed until 7 to 10 days before the World Cup.
Rennie, it's my understanding, curiously, that you might get there anyway, because Iraq is seen as the most likely candidate to replace Iran should they, as maybe expected, have to withdraw from playing in the World Cup finals themselves. They're already there. But of course, there's huge doubt as to whether or not they'll get there.
Yes, that could happen. And then through the AFC, we are the highest ranked team, so we would then take Iran's place. And then UAE might step in to replace us to play the winner of Suriname against Bolivia. But there's also rumours that if the FIFA makes that final decision, they might push the highest ranked FIFA team to go to replace Iran, which is Italy. So you can think, who would they rather have at the World Cup?
Absolutely. So they turn to Europe. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
You have to sympathise with Rennie and the Iraqi players, Simon. After 21 matches in this campaign, they've got themselves to a playoff, and now they're being asked to do a bunch of things, not least a 25-hour road trip.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you, what's the fullback position? Okay, I mean, ultimately what you're saying is to push the game back as far as you possibly can to make sure that the stability in the region becomes more prevalent and people can travel easier. Are you saying that your suggestion, your perspective is, or the perspective of your FA is that go as far away from the circumstances as now, even to be within 7 days of the tournament starting? Is that what your fallback position is?
Yes, that would be it, because it's very clear, Simon, that the airspace will be shut until the 1st of April. And our game is on the 31st of March. That's why Graham wants to buy time to making sure that we got April and May, and basically saying, listen, we then have got a little bit more time if we can get the players out to prepare, and if we do make it, we can stay there and participate in the World Cup. But I think the whole thing, Jim, throws so many other aspects of that needs to be looked at. Safety and security is one. And like I said, that those are all things that we cannot take lightly.
Absolutely. It must be hard, Rennie, keeping the Iraqi players' minds on football.
Well, absolutely, because obviously we do speak, and they are so desperate to go to the World Cup. But you never know how this incident or this war is going to escalate, and how much Iraq is going to be drawn into it. And obviously the players will have to look after the families as well.
Rennie, it's always good to speak to you, and it's always good to speak to you wherever you find yourself working in the game. And you've had a few interesting engagements. I can't speak to you without throwing one to you about Manchester United. Michael Carrick has done so well in his time there, no doubt. You're asked this by any United fan who comes up and recognises you. You're instantly recognisable wearing your former Manchester United hat. What do you think is the likelihood that Michael gets it?
Well, it will be up for discussion, obviously, if the results keep coming. But you had the first Pana in the works against Newcastle, which I think he should, and probably he classed it as a disappointment, because if you go to 10 men with so many minutes to play and then lose the game at the end. And I did think it was not a surprise to what happened when he took over, because I said it even on another show of TalkSport, it doesn't take much to fix it. And Michael fixed a lot. You could see that in the early games. He got the responses, he got the performances, he placed players in the right positions. They've got a lot of threat going forward, and they have got no midweek games. So that result against Newcastle and the performance was a disappointment for me, but a surprise as well, because you have all the time now to nail those principles down. Now, what is the likelihood for Michael to get it? He has to keep winning games. He just needs to keep winning games, but also he needs to, keep improving those performances that people start to recognise. This looks more like a Manchester United team of old. That's what he needs to try to achieve.
Rennie, I want to thank you very much indeed for speaking. It amazes me. Thank you, Rennie, for joining us live in the show. It amazes me that Rennie, with all his experience and such a successful time at Manchester United, is not in the conversation to go back as first-team coach.
Well, he's living a very varied life, isn't he? I mean, the interesting thing for the Iraq team is that they haven't ever qualified for a World Cup. They played in the '86 World Cup. So the fact they're in these new structures that are enabling them to potentially qualify is a positive. They've got to play 21 competitive games. Some would say, if you're an international manager, the more competitive games you play, the better your side's going to get. So I understand the amount of games they're about to play. The interesting thing will be for FIFA is how they have made a big play about increasing the World Cup to 48 teams to make sure that other regions are given opportunities to play and develop world football. Wenger talks about it in various things about how important it is. So they really have got to work very hard to find a way to deny Iraq playing in this game, given the circumstances and geopolitics, and then shoehorning on the European side in like Italy. I understand why they might want to do it because of the commercial opportunity that Italy may present if it were Italy that were put into that position, as Rennie was alluding to. But really and truly, you'd have to hold FIFA's feet to the fire and say, well, hang on a second, there's no harm in delaying this game until the draw will be made. The team will be put. It'll either be Bolivia, Suriname, or Iraq that are going to play in this particular space in the World Cup. Why can't we leave it until the very last minute for the final team to be determined? It can't be that big a deal. I mean, it can be achieved. So it would be, I think, poor on FIFA's part to suggest that they cannot delay this given the circumstances and give them, enough runway, for want of a better expression, to be able to play this game and subsequently have a team playing from that region. That hasn't played there before, only went there in '86 from a default position, didn't qualify, never won a game in the World Cup, never been there since. You either want to develop world football or you don't.
True. I mean, it's not FIFA's fault though that certain countries' airspace is shut down.
No, but it's FIFA's. No, but if you've got the tournament kicking off in June, and you've got playoffs now, and there's no harm. Ultimately, it's going to be one of these sides. You've drawn out who they're going to play against in the group stages, and so on and so forth. What is the factor that would stop you from giving them some ability to be able to play the game?
Sure. Okay. We will find out how it works out for Graham Arnold and Rennie Mullenstein and Iraq in the fullness of time. Coming up to 12:20 this Tuesday lunchtime.
Class there, just understands the goalkeeper has been teased into coming out for it. He's in no man's land. Constant just sends a lovely little click ball in. Wendy's got no right to win that ball, by the way, the size of him, and then he's just onto it, the centre forward, and that will do his confidence the world of good.
Well, it was pretty route one, but my goodness, it was effective. Wendy, one of the smallest players on the pitch, winning that flick on. And I'm really pleased, I've got to say, for Ollie Watkins, who had gone 7 games without a goal. He's ended that particular drought now. He was saying before the game how he does notice the criticism that he's been getting. I think he seems to suggest that maybe he's a victim of his own success in that expectation levels were set when he got 27 goals in the 23-24 season, and maybe that's how he'll always be measured now going forward.
For sure, and I thought just at the start of the second half he was almost trying too hard. But that one there, really good awareness to calculate the goalkeeper coming off his line. He's off and running again.
Yeah, really needed that. There's been a debate throughout the season as to who will be the second striker, if you like, going to the World Cup to play in. If anything were to happen to Harry Kane, and I've never changed my opinion throughout the season, it would be Ollie Watkins.
Well, I've been saying that for some time. I think his movement's excellent. He has good pace. I think just in front of goal, just a confidence issue maybe, but this maybe puts that to bed now.
Helped on by Haraldson. Onana. What a lift it would give Aston Villa ahead of that game, that huge game against Manchester United at the weekend, if they could get a victory here, get back to winning ways. Lille are getting frustrated.
You can see what Giroud thinks of that. He just gets a little touch on it. It's the follow through the referee's seen.
Rodgers.
He's the man though, isn't he? That makes Villa tick right now. Morgan Rodgers.
Another player who could have a big impact at the World Cup. Bogard with that touch, an important touch. Rodgers now to Sancho. Villa looking for a second. Watkins in the box. Buendia's in the box. Fired across dangerously. And Douglas Luiz and Rodgers. And Onana! Villa right on top now.
You can see the confidence now pouring through these players. Onana arrives too, and you think, okay, has he got time and space? And just puts that one wide. Should have hit the target there. Just clips the post. Wow.
So two changes coming here from Bruno Genesio. Thiago Santos is one of those coming off. Thomas Meunier comes on. And Mukau will make way here. And it's Felix Correa, former Portuguese youth international, who comes on, the only Lille player to feature in every game this season. He's quite creative as well, Correa, who's just come on. He has got 5 assists in the league alone this season. A few goals in Ligue 1 too, so a bit of threats just come on the pitch for Lille. Onana. At the start of the game how Emery had a choice to make with cash out. Who went in at right back? Would it be Lindelof? Would it be Bogard? I thought he might go with Lindelof, but I have to say Bogard has played well.
He has, and he's missed this well. It's just interesting, Martinez, when he does this. These the Villa players can just set their stall out now, and then these 10s that we talk about come into the pockets, and Villa can just, it's the structure. Look, they're out again. Look.
That is the word he used so many times in his press conference yesterday. Unai Emery, he must have said that word structure about 10 times, and the importance of it.
It's very evident in the way that they set up.
Fernandez Pana.
Then they try and sort of fix the play so they can dominate possession.
Mbemba. Bentala. Mandy. Pedro's cross. Dealt with by Ponson. They quickly have it back again here. Pedro with the pass. Meunier. And Mbemba. Now maybe Villa can counter. Douglas Luiz plays it forwards. And they're in behind them here with Watkins to make it 2. Was he clipped? Referee says no.
There's a ball over the top from Douglas Luiz, and Ollie Watkins is running onto it. I mean, you stood up here thinking he must have been fouled. I mean, look, the goalkeeper, look, he's trying against it, but he's pulled his body away from it. Really unusual to see that happening. I don't think the goalkeeper can be accused of fouling him there.
Well, Watkins has been put in the position where he's almost got a hurdle in, hasn't he?
He has, and it's an unusual one. But I wondered if he should have actually hit it a little bit earlier. He elects to go around him.
Well, the goalkeeper here, the Turkish international Berker Özil, is still down. Well, Rodgers is making the point to the referee that he feels that was a foul and should be a penalty, and you can see the referee quite literally told him to zip it.
Yeah, I mean, normally in that situation, the goalkeeper, it doesn't matter, you put your body across him and it's a foul, but it didn't quite pan out like that.
So the backup goalkeeper, Arno Bodar, sent out to warm up here. And now Watkins, presumably asking the same question of the Spanish referee, Jose Maria Sanchez.
Well, it was on the goalkeeper's line there, which he couldn't have got away with that one because, but you know, there's enough disguise on it to cause that confusion. Look at it, yeah. He just takes it round him and then, is that a foul?
Well, Watkins turned round looking at the referee in expectation of him pointing to the spot.
Well, the referees are judged for Ollie Watkins to have fouled the goalkeeper. Which I don't think is true either.
We've got a big live Premier League game coming up for you at the weekend. It affects both ends of the table. West Ham fighting the drop at home against title-chasing Manchester City. Little room for error at the moment for both of those clubs. That should be a cracking game. Coming up on Saturday night, we start at 7 p.m. Torres. Rodgers. Bogart. Onana forward to Watkins. Played wide by Buendia. We've seen some really nice touches from him in the second half, not least that flick on for the goal.
You can see Ollie Watkins now purring with confidence as well.
Pedro intercepted the ball intended for Sancho. Fernandez Pardo. Giroud makes the run into the box. The referee had a good look at that and says play on and fall forward here for Aston Villa. Can they make the most of this because Lille is stretched? Watkins with the chance to cross. He was into a good area, but Meunier was there for Lille.
Yeah, referee letting things go. Puts that early ball in. You can just see the signal from Rodgers. Wants it near post. He just gets a bit too much on it. He's trying to pick out Rodgers.
The winners of this tie will face either Roma or Bologna in that all-Italian tie. And that's 1-1 now. Pellegrini has equalised for Roma at the Bernardeschi and put Bologna in front. Bentele in behind Aston Villa here as Martinez looks to make the angle difficult. He was a mile offside.
He was, and the flag has just gone up, which is, I just don't understand that. You can see here, look. There's a good 10 yards there.
Felix Correa with the run. Changes coming from Unai Emery. Tammy Abraham is going to be introduced. And John McGinn as well, which is a welcome sight for Villa supporters. And of course his manager as well. We're delighted to have his presence both in the dressing room and on the pitch. Such a big character.
Yeah, of course. Great news for Aston Villa. Get him out there, get some vital minutes. Big games coming up. Keeping it nicely here, Villa.
Oh, Sancho took a little bit of a risk there. Well, his side have really got to make the most of the final 15 minutes or so here with Villa, remember, having 100% home record in Europe this season. Tomamunya. Crowd certainly doing their bit here. Buadi, Bentala. Mandy. Fernandez Pardo. Haraldson. Haraldson went for the return, instead it comes here to Buadi. Fernandez Pardo. And still going, and getting his shot off and forcing the save from Martinez. Loves to drift inside like that and get a shot off on his right foot. Nandi. This time they go to the right.
This is their best spell, isn't it, of the game. Great effort there from the young winger that come on. Villa have got to see this through though. Can't get these substitutes on early enough for me.
They're still waiting to make that double change with Abraham and McGinn ready to come on. There's a lot of experience about to come onto the pitch for Villa, but Lille have a corner.
Yeah, this is the shot from this. The keeper gets to it really well. As you expect from him. Giving a little bit too much space there.
Final quarter of an hour of this first leg. Will he get a chance? Played it short, but there are plenty in the box. Bit of a waste that from Lille. It's Digne who blocked the cross. Tomamunya might control that, but they keep it. Trip by Buendia on Mbemba. Now we'll see those changes. So Watkins replaced up front by Tammy Abraham. And Douglas Luiz is going to make way for John McGinn.
I think Watkins will be pleased with his evening's work. He may even feel he should have had a penalty. Difficult to determine, but Abraham makes for a good replacement. That's what Villa need now. Good game of the weekend, and McGinn obviously heart and soul of the club.
That's missed 10 games after a minor knee surgery. John McGinn is back slightly ahead of schedule, actually. As I mentioned earlier, Tielemans, they're hoping, will be back after the March international break. Unlikely that we'll see Kamara again this season, but to have McGinn back and Tielemans not too far away, great news for Emery.
Yes, it certainly is. Kamara, though, a big loss.
Bentala turned away from McGinn. Mbemba. Tomamunya. Like a handball there by Digne. And it's a chance for them here to stick one in the box. Mandy forward, along with several others. Been a good away performance in Europe so far tonight from Aston Villa. Important they are switched on and concentrated for this set piece.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Giroud there. He's all on his own in that box.
Fernandez Pardo as well is, I think Rodgers just looked round and noticed him there. Onana closest to Mbemba. In comes the free kick. And it'll come to Fernandez Pardo. Roma Pero with the ball in. Villa the decision with Buendia down here holding his ribs.
Well, it's a wicked ball in from Pero. He's just defended nicely at that far post. Kept his eye on it, bended it out. Buendia, though, I think he gets a wrap, doesn't he, in the midriff.
Now just caught there by Felix Correa.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Kids haven't even showered, not in bed, and just screaming.
Martinez in no rush to get the game restarted, and why should he be? Villa 10 minutes away from a first leg victory here. Bentaleb with the header, comes out to Pau Torres. Managing the game in this sort of atmosphere so important now.
100%.
Say hello.
Martinez comes in for a long stick, but he doesn't really care about that.
Don't pull it, you can't really shit.
Well, the Villa fans have missed seeing that, haven't they?
Takes the ball so well.
And then he's fouled.
No, but we can't pull it. No.
If you're coach of a young kids team and you want to teach your players how to protect the ball, you just say, go watch some YouTube videos of John McGinn, because he does it brilliantly.
He goes round in a circle on the ball and just protects it so well.
Onana with the header. Buendia.
Okay. All done. Good night. Let's go game then.
Harrelson.
He's toiled away tonight for Lille without really much joy in that 10 roll.
Constance seems to get a push there, but the referee said you've still got the ball, so play on.
He did, he shoved. He shoved in the back.
Okay, come on. Bedtime.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.
Just in terms of assessing where we are in this tie in terms of Lille. It's worth pointing out they did lose the first leg of their playoff against Red Star, came back to win that. But clearly it's a big step up in quality to go to Villa Park and try and turn things around. Mandy got the touch to that, but this is Rodgers. Buendia is one of those in the box. And wide, but it's a chance for Villa to make it too.
Scored again.
You're seeing that ball coming in, you're thinking, why has he not gone with his head? Great ball in, early ball, that's what we talked about, being direct, and then it's whipped. I mean, look at this for a ball, and I thought he's going to come on and head it, but he elects to go for the sort of bicycle kick. Doesn't hit the target.
So Sancho is one of those coming off here. Martson and Bailey are coming on for Aston Villa. And Buendia is the other player being taken off here by Unai Emery, but it's been a good performance, particularly in the second half, I would say, from Buendia, and that flick on that led to the goal was brilliant.
Yeah, I like him in that role in the pockets. The manager enjoys him there. It's really important to the structure. I'm going to mention that again, in the shape that they take, they adopt when they're in possession.
So Harrelson, sorry Martin.
Morgan Rodgers gets a lot of credit for that, but they operate with two in those holes, and it works well for Villa.
Harrelson taken off then, and another teenager comes on for Lille. Diaoun, who's just 18 years old, a French under-18 international. Really have had some top players go through this club over the years, haven't they? I think people like Eden Hazard, Rafael Leao, Mike Maignan. Benjamin Pavard, such a long list of players. Eric Abidal, Rio Mavuba. Remember that really good side with Debussy and Mavuba and others in it. Adil Rami, another one who played here. Here's Rodgers for Villa.
Not so long ago they won the title here.
And Bailey just seemed to be caught in the face there by Roman Pero. Yeah, you had players like Jose Fonten, Renato Sanchez, Jonathan David in that team that won the title that Martin was alluding to there.
There's Paro there, giving Bailey a real clout. Paro's played quite well on this left-hand side. You have to say probably their best player tonight, Bill.
So a little over 5 minutes of the 90 to go. Tammy Abraham on as a sub for the goal scorer Ollie Watkins. John McGinn will take this free kick. He's played it into a good area too, and Bailey was just beaten to it by Bouadi. Lofted forward by Emi Martinez. Bouadi. I think having that, well, just over a week off in terms of games will have really helped Villa at such a busy, important time of the season. Just look that little bit fresher to me tonight.
Yeah, they do. The confidence will, as you say, they went in front, just started pouring through the team.
Hernandez Pardo with the ball back in towards Olivier Giroud. Bouadi. Time running out here for Lille if they're to take anything to Birmingham with them in a week's time. Bentaleb. Hernandez Pardo.
He's gone out on that right-hand side, looks really effective.
Bouadi. Correa's in there, and Giroud's waiting for the cross, and Giroud couldn't quite get to it. Real threat here from Lille, but now the flag goes up on the far side. Thought just for a moment that Giroud was going to get to that.
Yeah, it's really good play again. Approach play. Just looking here to see if he's... I think he's just a tad offside there. Giroud's the furthest player forward. He just nips inside, and good save from the keeper, and it's scrambled away by Konsa.
On the 26th of March, TNT Sports will move from Discovery Plus to the new streaming home on HBO Max, as well as all the sport you love. You can also find the most talked about series and hit movies all under one roof. Scan the QR code on screen now for more information. Bentaleb did brilliantly there. This is Bouadi. Pero. Diaoul. Bailey.
It's interesting, Lille looking better with a lot of these young players on the pitch and playing with a bit more freedom.
Well, they started the match with the oldest starting 11 that they've ever picked for a European game. But Martin's right, youth has come on, and you've just seen that little bit of youthful exuberance with the likes of Hernandez Pardo. Player who's just on the ball down the left there, Diaoul. Player who came on at half-time, Bouadi.
Well, Bouadi's only 18 years of age, just to underline that.
Emi Martinez shown a yellow card there by the referee. Of course, last time he was here, he got 2, but didn't get sent off because yellow cards wiped out for a shootout. Got the booking in the penalty shootout, and Villa going through.
Yeah, he did get suspended though in the next one, I think.
Edging ever closer to what would be a important win here, Aston Villa, not just in the context of this competition, but their season as a whole, really.
Just need to keep the ball now, Villa, and just see this one through.
The people will look at it and naturally will say, look, Lille 6th in Ligue 1, even a taxi driver I had today said, look, Aston Villa should really see off Lille with relative ease, but it's rarely like that in these sort of situations, is it? And
when you're going away in Europe, and you get all these games are difficult. You're reaching the latter stages of a competition. You can look at the support they're getting here.
It's going to be a real battle for them in terms of trying to finish in the Champions League places in Ligue 1. There's a lot of competition in that respect, even for the Europa League position as well. 2 points behind 5th place Rennes, 5 points behind Marseille and Lyon, who occupy 3rd and 4th. Well, Harvey Elliott is going to come on here, which is good to see, and Morgan Rogers is going to come off.
Well, good to see Harvey Elliott finally getting some football. He's been injured. We know that he's obviously they hadn't want him to play too many games to activate that clause. Been really difficult for him. 5 minutes, by the way, being added on here.
But he comes on at a really important time here, Elliott, with Villa looking to close this out. 5 minutes left. Mandy. The Lille side, who are 4 games unbeaten. They've won 3 of them. They should have won at the weekend, but conceded a very late equaliser here against Lorient. Mandy. Bentaleb with the pass here to Chancel and Mbemba. Mbemba, Bentaleb, Giroud on the move, and flag up again on that far side. Digne, I think, was just caught by Giroud as he stooped there.
A high foot.
We were recalling the scorpion kick earlier, weren't we, from Giroud back in 2017, did I say? Yeah, against Palace, yeah. Yellow card shown in the direction of Digne.
I think the young man's rolled his ankle there as he's fallen.
Bouadi. Mandy. Bentaleb. Mbemba. Pedro. Mandy. Bentaleb. And it comes here to Mbemba. Matson gets it back again for Villa.
He's done an important job there, Matson, on that side of the pitch, without doubt. Pace is necessary. Almost got 2 left backs out on that side of the pitch.
Bogard well positioned, headed by Harvey Elliott. It come here to Onana. John McGinn. The ball that was intended for Bailey and does reach Bailey. Elliott makes the run on the outside. Still got it here, Bailey. Elliott. Bogart, in a mature performance from Bogart. McGinn, space down the left if they can get it out there. And they do sense an opportunity perhaps here for Aston Villa.
I think they should be happy just to keep it and just see this game out. Let's play possession football here.
Onana, the home side being frustrated. Consa. Elliott couldn't keep it. Buadi turned well there. Fernandez Pardo goes down. Well, appeals from the Lille supporters, but I have to say they didn't look too much in that.
No, Consa does really well. And it's Fernandez Pardo again making that run. Just look, and they just come into contact. Nothing doing there. Those youngsters again though for Lille.
Meunier. Correa. Was a really difficult pass to make, and Villa could exploit this now. It's with Bailey, Elliott to his right, Abraham arriving in the box. Can they decide to keep it? What a big win for Unai Emery and Aston Villa. They will take a first leg lead back to Villa Park for the second leg in a week's time. Lille beaten at home, the only goal of the game.
Bye-bye.
Scored by Ollie Watkins. Indeed, gone 7 matches without one. Such an important victory for that, not just in this competition, but for the season as a whole. It finishes here, Lille 0, Villa 1.
Thank you very much to Adam and Martin. Yes, Villa back on track, making it 6 wins in a row in the Europa League. A much-needed boost of confidence tonight, and that's the 100th win in charge for Unai Emery, becoming the fastest